Do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wicked Funny Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Bowden. With me, as always, Frank Gazzero.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest this week, one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome comedian Ray Harrington. Hi, Ray. How are you? Comedian
Good,
Ray
good.
Harrington.
Oh, give them the chance to do their applause like you just told them to do. Everybody clap for the intro on a podcast.
Yes, that's what we do here. We clap.
I
This
love it.
motherfucker's driving and clapping right now. I'm telling you. Justin Springer's listened to every episode like 5 times. That motherfucker's clapping right now. He's wooing in his car. I can tell.
Probably is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll get a whistle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, probably. Definitely a whistle. So Ray, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm okay. I mean, many things have happened since I last spoke to you boys, and I don't think we have enough time to get into all of it. So, doing some comedy things and having fun, and had COVID, and yeah, that's about it.
You got it?
You got it.
I got it, baby. Ooh, I got it.
How'd you get it?
I don't know. I'm assuming it was a show I did in Connecticut when my estranged
dirty
father...
show.
Well, what's crazy is I tracked it back, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's the one where my estranged father I haven't seen in 8 years came to a show, and I honestly would like it to be that my dad gave it to me.
I like that idea.
It would be kind of poetic, you know?
Yeah, right? Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. The last thing you gave me was, I don't know, a check that bounced? Like...
Yeah, Ray.
But this time it's antibodies that'll last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like last time I know that you talked to your dad was when you were making Be a Man, your documentary.
Yeah, and I saw him then. I let him see my son, and before that, it had been 7 years before that. So, yeah, it's fun. It's a good time, and I enjoyed performing for an hour in front of my dad. It was a good time.
You saw him before you went up?
He walked out of the venue like as I was walking up and went, "You're late." That was the first thing he said to me, and I was just like,
wow.
No, I came like right before the show on purpose.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna be a motherfucker. I'm dodging you, bitch. That's fucking crazy. He did come up to you. Did he come up to you before you went up?
Yeah, he did. He came up to me.
That's the question I just asked.
Yeah, he small talked me. And then, we did the show. I don't want to get too into this. Like, I didn't even get into this on my podcast, Ray Harrington Must Content, available everywhere. And it feels weird to come on here and be like, hey, let me tell you about my weird daddy issues.
Well, no, we're going to have a daddy issues podcast. Well, it's kind of daddy issues. I have daddy issues that I talked to you guys about, and we're going to get into that. But I had a situation with my dad and my comedy as well, Ray.
Okay.
And I wanted to talk about that.
Oh, all right.
So my relationship with my dad, way better than yours and your dad.
And is dad stronger than your dad? And he's faster?
And he's stronger. He can beat your dad up.
His dick is huge.
My dad's dick is the biggest dick.
That should be a podcast where it's just my dad's dick is the biggest dick. What a weird flex. My dad's dick is huge, man.
It's the biggest dick. It's really, really big. I think that's all the episodes we could do right there. That's every episode.
Every episode starts with, and our guest today is so-and-so, and so how big is your dad's dick?
Yeah. I mean, I want to get to be like, he's only about 4.95. Like, all right, we can still talk to you.
When did you first see your dad's dick?
Yeah, that's a great... See, and that's the thing, because I had a bit early on in my comedy career, before I was even calling it a career, and the bit was centered around the idea of like the first in the real world penis I ever saw was when I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that, and I went into a restroom at a restaurant, and there was a guy. I didn't know the rules of the urinal then, so I just went to the urinal that was next to the dude, and I'm peeing, and at that age I'm perfect eye to penis height. So I
Wow.
look over for a second and I see a human man's penis in front of me. All platonic. Nothing's happening here. We're all peeing. And,
Yeah.
Platonic.
and I
We
saw
had a
that,
really
and it
healthy
is,
relationship.
Frank, it is ingrained in my mind. Still, as an adult man with a child, I still remember that guy's penis because as a little kid, it was huge. It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. Yeah.
They're bigger when they're small.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bigger when you're
Makes
small.
sense.
When I the first other dick other than my dad's that I saw was my friend Jimmy's dad, who was my neighbor. And we wanted to go play in the woods. He's like, let me ask my dad if I can go play in the woods.
Hold on, let me show you my dick first.
Yeah. All right, you kids be safe. Take a look at this uncut dick. Have a good day.
we got to go find his dad, Bob. So we're like, where's Bob? Where's fucking Bob? He's not in the shed. He's not downstairs in his house. And then he just starts going, I'm up here.
I'm washing my penis, boys.
He didn't say he was in. He just goes, I'm in the bathroom. And so Jimmy opens up the door of the bathroom, and he just rips that fucking curtain open, and his fucking dick is there. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, your dad has a big dick. Episode 2. Fucking, yeah. So that was.
You'd be arrested for that today.
That's
well, no, because it happened that Jimmy would get arrested because Jimmy's the one that ripped the curtain open and was like, "Let me expose my father."
His dad ripped the curtain open.
Oh, okay, yeah, for sure. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up.
It was at the same time. Funny? No, the door was opening.
He was trying to be sexy, Frank.
Oh, sexy.
He tried to
very similar to funny.
Yeah. He and what's weird is he opened the curtain with his dick.
Yeah. He just twisted his hips real fast.
Yeah, you're like, is that a weird thumb? Oh no.
I saw the head peek around the curtain.
Yeah.
It just ripped open the curtain.
Yeah.
It's so heavy on the curtain, it shows the rings they're snapping off.
It's like a Muppet show.
Yeah, it was like in Pulp Fiction when they open the briefcase and a bunch of light shows out of it.
Yeah,
that was Bob's dick.
Well, you know what's funny is like cool. I had that realization, and before I was a dad, like that old bit that I had talking about when I was a kid and saw that. The end of that bit was this realization of like, so I'm gonna do that. I'm going to very carefully choose the right age for my son to accidentally see my dick. So forever.
You planned it?
This was the bit. This was the bit. I didn't actually do it.
Oh, all right. I was going to see
it. No. The way you said it, I'm like, oh my God, Ray has a fucking plan.
Well, you need to listen to the beginning because I said in the beginning it's the end of the bit. I didn't actually do this.
Sometimes based on real, like you're definitely not supposed to plan when you're going to show a kid your dick.
No, and that's why I burned that notebook.
And even if it's instructive, yeah.
But that's why I burned the tape of me showing him my dick.
Sit down, have a look at this.
Yeah,
I snuck it into a Paw Patrol episode.
Video from YouTube.
Yeah, it was like a fight. It's like Fight Club.
Clubbed it.
Yeah, it's like Fight Club. I snuck it in, and he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "That's your dad's dick. It's huge."
That's Chase on the cock right there.
Somebody get Marshall.
So anyway,
we had a natural like dip, right? That's the good time.
If you were gonna like plan when Trenton was gonna see your dick, how would you do it?
Well, you know, I would probably do it like Bob did. Just rip the shirt and
You just be like, hey,
the shirt and curtain. I open up the shirt and curtain, and I will present myself. No, but what?
Afraid of that.
No, you know what happened? I went through a phase where I wore some really short shorts in the summertime, and my balls and pee-pee would pop out of the bottom while I was sitting on the couch.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
So when I was sitting on the couch, the
fact that you said balls and pee-pee.
Wait, as an
balls
adult,
and pee-pee. I think that's a Freudian thing, and I think that tells us how big your dick is. When you say balls and pee-pee.
Yeah, the ratio is weird.
I didn't want to call it a dinkus. That's embarrassing.
balls and pee-pee.
So my balls and pee-pee would stick out from the bottom.
So you would wear shorts on purpose that were for someone shorter than you, or something?
No, I would wear shorts that I was comfortable in. They were very comfortable shorts.
And your dick would just flop out of it? And your balls?
And my balls, yeah. They would.
How was that comfortable?
Well, like if I'm sitting on the edge of the couch, they would just kind of hang like a pendulum.
Oh.
And I
listen. Some of us boys have meaty clackers, and it's a thing. It happens.
No, yeah, it does happen. I would just avoid it. Like I'm afraid of that stuff because my doctor once told me I need to be very careful because I'm very loose down there.
Yeah, Frank has loose balls.
And that was your gynecologist?
Yeah. Gyno told him.
No, I was at a urologist.
You're very loose down there. You need to be careful.
Yeah,
they call him Flappy Frank Gazzero when he comes in the
my
office.
balls are very flappy, and when the urologist was doing whatever they do, he was like, all right, so look, not everybody's are like is moving around. They don't move around as much as yours do, so you're very loose. So you got to be careful. You get twisted.
You've got roaming balls. You've got roaming balls.
They swing around. They're like
you got to watch out for those clackers. Okay, they're like a grandfather clock in there. They're just constantly knocking back and forth on your thighs.
Yeah,
no, I get it. On a hot day, are you kidding me? On a hot day, I have 4 kneecaps. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, it's intense.
Oh, that's a hacky line, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Listen, on a hot day, I got 4 kneecaps. Okay, I'm not saying my balls are low, but what I'm saying is sometimes I can clog the toilet with them. You know what I mean?
I've dipped in the toilet bowl.
Listen, I am a 6'7" large man. And if there are certain hotel toilets that are really low and they have high water lines. The last hotel I stayed in, I'm sitting on the seat and immediately I'm like, oh nope, okay, and because the balls
touch the water?
The balls are dipping. Yeah. They're dipping their little testicle toe right in the water.
Wow, I don't know if I've ever seen a toilet with water that high.
Well, you got to stay in.
Well, you haven't seen balls this low.
Yeah. You and your loose sack need to do some traveling.
Fucking Ray's weighting his balls down, walking around, stretching them out.
Now, Ray, the question I have for you is: when that happens, do you take some of the water out of the toilet?
No. What I do is I kind of tense up a little bit. And it works. It's like doing a Kegel. You do a little bit of a Kegel, and it pulls the balls up.
You don't.
Why are we talking about this?
Yeah. You don't do the classic sack bunch, Ray. You don't do the classic sack bunch where you pull it together and maybe put an elastic around the sack.
I've never put an elastic around it.
It tightens up the balls.
Oh, what you're referring to is the original man bun.
The man bun. Yes, the man bun. Yes.
You take some of that extra skin.
It's a ball bun.
It's like a ponytail.
It was invented by sheep farmers hundreds of years ago.
Exactly.
Oh, we did it.
Yeah. We got on that because I wanted to tell you about my dad, and then this whole thing's happened.
Yeah.
So my dad, in comedy, this is what happened to me last week. My whole life, I've tried to make my dad laugh. He doesn't laugh. He has such a weird sense of humor. I couldn't even tell you what it is. It's crazy. But he laughs at the weirdest shit. He loves like dumb dad jokes. So there's one clip on YouTube that I have where I'm yelling at a guy in the crowd who was a cop, and I had just done a bunch of weed material, and he loves it. It's the Frankie Boy clip. He loves that clip. And then I showed him the clip from our 200th episode on YouTube where we forgot to hit the record button, but I had a Kermit the Frog puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, that's funny with Kermit. He goes, who did you get to do the impression? And I said, I did it. He goes, really? He goes, really? He goes, that's a great impression. He goes, you sound just like Kermit. He goes, that's really, really good. He goes, do it now. Do it now. And I'm like, well, this is how Kermit talks. And he goes, that's really good. You know what you got to do? You got to bring the puppet when you do your live shows.
Oh, no.
And bring the puppet out. And I go, Dad, I'm not doing that.
I would pay you if you did that as a reward. I would love to see you go on stage and do nothing but impressions. Do a whole act as just like an old school impressionist.
And I would gladly receive
here's
that.
Gary Busey at the DMV. Like, well, what would he say? It'd be like, that'd be great.
I would I'm trying to envision it, right? I'm imagining what Brian would do for that hour of impressions, and I think it would go a little something like that. No.
It's like, hello, welcome to the show. This is Willem Dafoe. This is the first impression. I'll be doing Willem Dafoe right now, and then maybe I'll just dip into some Gary Busey, and then I'll do a bit of Busey. Who else? And then some Kermit.
You do Tom Hardy.
Oh, fuck yeah. Tom Hardy all over the place.
This is fun. I like this.
Yeah.
I do all of mine like in secret.
I do. You know, I have a lot.
I annoy people on Brian. I've annoyed you on the phone with little voices and stuff like that, and doing impressions of people. You know.
I think ours are more of characters. I think we come up with these like when we're on the phone. It's a fucking ridiculous character fest. Yeah. Especially if something catches on.
Like the last thing I did was like last night at like 1:30 in the morning. I'm on the phone with a friend of mine, and we're talking about whatever, and that new Tom Hanks Elvis movie came up, and so I exhausted my friend on the phone. Because I would not stop being Elvis talking shit about Tom Hanks because he's jealous that the guy not playing Elvis is the star. You know what I mean? He's upset. And he's just like, everybody, no, Tom Hanks didn't do nothing, man. He didn't do nothing after Castaway, man. After that, he started doing streaming movies, man. He did Sully, and nobody gave a shit, man. Nobody cares, man. Because you know why? Because Tom Hanks should have been the king, man. He was the king of American cinema.
You remember that movie where he was the captain? He lost that movie.
He lost that movie, man. He was the captain, and then he was also the captain on a plane on the same year, man. It was just too much, man. Everybody got confused, man. It wasn't like back in the day. It's like if he did big and then he did small.
I don't like Tom Hanks movies that involve method of transportation. I don't like that.
I don't like Tom Hanks on a plane. I don't like him on a train. I don't like him in the sky at all.
Get that motherfucker out the sky. If Tom Hanks is in the sky, some shit's happening. Apollo 13 ruined because he was on it.
That's the key, man. Never take a ride with Tom Hanks, man. That is a bad idea.
Castaway. He's done a lot of movies about traveling.
He's done a shit. He did that.
The terminal, man. Movie. He can't even get on a plane in the terminal. He can't even get on the plane, man.
Trying to travel.
He's just stuck in a terminal, man. That's what is the name of the movie, man.
So silly.
That man can't even take a trip to France, man, because then he gets killed in Saving Private Ryan. Did I spoil it for you? He wasn't even Ryan, man. I watched that movie. He wasn't even fucking Ryan.
And in that movie, he's just traveling around too.
Again, he's just moving around.
It's bullshit, man.
Yeah, man. Tom Hanks.
Only movie he ever did I liked was Money Pit, man. I like that movie. It's funny, man. He bought a house that was a piece of shit. I like that movie, man.
I enjoy Money Pit.
Money Pit's fun.
Money Pit.
I don't like Big, man, because that's pedophile magic. I don't like that's pedophile magic, man.
Dude, there was a lot of fucking movies in the 80s with pedophilia.
It wasn't back in the 80s, like that wasn't pedophilia because it was just boys trying to lose their virginity. That's what most of the 80s movies were. I really wish in Big there was a scene because that lady totally fucked Tom Hanks when he was big, right?
Yeah.
And she sees him for like a second at the end when he's a little kid and he walks away. I want one scene where they have to sit down together and just have like an incredibly awkward coffee. You know what I mean? It's like, so you're an 11-year-old boy.
Welcome to Big sex. Again. Closure.
I'd like to say you're welcome.
I like to think that when that kid hit like 13 or 14 and puberty was just raging in his body, he was calling her back, being like, come on, it's basically the same thing. Just let me do this.
You taught me. Come on, I can still do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of puberty, that's what we're getting at today is puberty.
When is enough? Let's get rid of it.
We gotta stop the puberty.
We need to stop puberty.
Yeah. And again, it falls into the whole dad thing. My son came out of school the other day.
And he was in puberty?
He started bombarding me with puberty questions. My ex signed him up for the puberty class.
Hold on, there's a puberty class?
Yeah, there's a puberty class. That's what they have to do now.
And he got signed up?
you gotta sign a paper that they're gonna take a puberty class. They just don't.
You mean
throw
like a
you in it.
sex ed class, right?
Yeah, like a sex ed
But it's
puberty
called
Okay,
class.
see, a
puberty
sex
class, or
education
you call
class is fine, but a puberty class is so different. It's
that
like they
sounds
don't.
almost like there's a life coach who's like, here's how you handle this, you guys.
Yeah, listen, you're gonna want to rub up against a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What you need to do is make sure it's soft because you're gonna bend it. You're gonna bend it permanently.
That would be great. A guy who just gives puberty lessons, or a woman, someone that
No,
you could call.
no, because I
and be
don't
like,
trust that
No.
guy.
That's creepy, Frank.
They
That's
need
a
vetted.
creepy job.
But you're like a 14-year-old kid. You're like, I have a
Do
question
you
about a
want
thing.
Frank? This is like I do
Let's
not
call the
want.
advice line, the teen line, and we'll get some advice from.
Yeah,
the
what
puberty
creep
guy.
is volunteering? I'll talk to puberty boys and
I don't
girls
know,
on the
but,
phone and help them.
Hello, hi.
Hello?
My name's Gary. I'm going to talk to you about
Board-certified
erections
Puberty
today.
doctor.
Oh, I need to get my supervisor involved. Hang on a second.
Or there needs to be a way
Hello,
to get
this is definitely not the same guy.
We're gonna talk about wet dreams.
Oh, you had a wet dream, did you? Well, tell me about it slowly. I'm a volunteer.
Yeah, this is a great job, Frank. This is awesome.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
I think it gets shut down. I think it gets shut down.
It definitely gets shut down.
that gets shut down. So my son's in sex ed class, and he gets in the car and just starts asking me. He goes, well, first he's upset. He goes, you and mom signed me up for this puberty class. And I said, yeah, we did. I didn't know she had signed up for it.
Is it after school or during school?
It's during school, but
well,
she didn't
Brian,
give me the heads up.
would you not want him to do it? Because you sound like you're. Yeah, because
I want him to find out from a magazine he finds in the woods.
Well, that's the thing. Little things like this. This is where the co-parenting communication. It doesn't need improvement, but you got to pick up on it quick. Like when he says you and mom signed up for the class, I automatically have to go, yeah, we did, because he's not here all the time. She sees the paper, I don't. Obviously, I don't care if he's in the class. I want him to be in the class, so I just got to roll with it. But a heads up from her, like, hey, I signed him up for sex ed, so be prepared if he gets.
Yeah,
in the
so
car
conversations are gonna fucking happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, you sign your kid up for Fuck 101, you're gonna have some talks.
You're gonna have some fuck talk.
How old is he? What is he, 9?
Yeah. He's 11. He's 11.
Oh, 11.
He's 11.
Well, yeah.
Come on, I knew that, Frank.
So he goes.
I didn't know that, did I?
He goes, you signed me up for the puberty class. I'm going through puberty now, and do you have a hairy back? That's what he asked. He asked me if I had a hairy back. And then he goes, I'm going to start to get more hair around my dinkus. And I said, okay. We call dicks funny names in my house.
What do you say I'm going through puberty now? Is he already having symptoms?
Well, yes.
Symptoms?
He's having symptoms, Frank. Yes.
So you got to talk about
he's exhibiting behaviors.
Yeah, and so he started talking about growing hair in his armpits, and eventually he's gonna. And then he goes, do you have a razor at the house? And I go, yeah. He goes, I'm gonna need my own razor and probably shaving cream soon, right? And he's flipping out. So I finally get him home, and I go, what? I go, do you have any questions about this class? I go, I'll answer any question you want. And and in a way, he was he was concerned. He wasn't scared, but he was concerned. Like, what happens when you go through puberty? Does it hurt? He goes, if you're growing, does it hurt when you grow? And then at one point he goes, oh my God. He goes, am I gonna get a wet dream? And I said, oh yeah. I go, you're gonna get a bunch of them. I go,
dude, I was ready to. I was ready to
jerk off enough.
Yeah, I was ready to play in this space and have fun with this. But when you said that your kid said, am I going to get a wet dream? I just imagined my 8-year-old saying that. And I'm just like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to talk about wet dreams.
I wasn't ready for it either. So I wasn't ready, but I answered them like as honest as I could. And just told them like flat out, like, look, it doesn't hurt. Your body's going to do some weird stuff. You're definitely going to grow hair. I go, it's gonna take over emotions. I go, you're gonna feel different.
Yep.
I go, but it doesn't hurt. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you get to look back on it and laugh. And
Right. Yeah.
that's kind of how I left it.
Yeah, because you also don't want to tell the truth too much, because I think what the truth is would be hard to hear at that point when you're about to go into it. Because the truth is like, hey, when you are the most physically awkward, you're going to go through the most mentally and emotionally awkward period of your life at the same exact time. You're
Yeah.
going to be so goddamn horned up and like just everything's going to be surging through your body, and you're like, I don't know if I want to fight something, I don't know if I want to fuck something, I just know I need something to happen very very badly, very badly. Something needs to happen. I'm going to punch my penis. I need something to happen, right? And it's hard to explain to a kid, like, it's all going to be subconscious stuff. You're just going to have it in your head. You know what I mean?
It's funny.
Yeah.
I never had like I never really felt that way. Like I had all the normal, feelings or whatever, I guess you'd expect, but I was never like, oh man, I'm confused right now. I don't know how to process this. I just kind of went about my day.
I don't even mean confused.
You had a long distance relationship with a 50-year-old woman and had phone sex with her.
Yeah, straight up. You were confused. You just didn't know.
You were confused. You didn't know it.
That's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
And when I talk about that, I don't mean like you're sitting there like, stroking your chin, being like, I just don't know how to feel. I think it's just a thing in you where you're like, what is happening right now? I am filled with this like weird energy, and you get. I think it's like you have terminal horniness. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
Not at the beginning of puberty, but like tail end of puberty. Like that's when high school boys are just like, you know what we should do? I don't know. It's different now because the internet exists. But like when I was in high school, there was just like a period of time. It's like, I guess we'll all watch this porn video.
Yeah.
Together, right? Like it's weird.
Let's go rent a movie, and you rent the one with like the most nudity that you can
find.
And
you that's all you care about. And that's all you think about, and that's all you talk about, right? And then once you discover self-release, right? Once you discover that, you go through a phase where you're just like, I guess this is what I do full time now.
Yeah.
Right? I guess this is my startup company, is me jerking.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jerk off right now.
I made a conscious decision to try it the first time, and it was because a kid on the bus was like talking to the younger kids and being like, do you go home and get gay with yourself? And I had never really considered jerking off, and I was like, wait, does it mean you're gay? And then I thought, like, well, people must do that, I guess. They must jerk off for some reason. All right, I guess I'll give it a shot. And then I tried it out. And I like
that you weren't into it until you heard maybe it was gay.
I thought, maybe this is gay. So I decided to shuck my corn.
That's what caught my attention. And then I was like, well, what's a big deal? Why is it a big deal that he's talking about it so much? You know what I mean?
I think it's funny that you go through a phase. I don't know how it was for you guys, but I remember a specific phase where I think most of us had started doing that, and we weren't sure about any of it, right? But there was a distinct feeling where the whole friend group was just like, you have to lie. You don't do it because doing it's gross and weird.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't do that, but also I need to leave right now.
Yeah.
I just go to the bathroom a lot.
I was upfront and honest with my friends about it.
I could see that,
but it took about a year probably.
Yeah, they were all lying about it, and then they're like, Brian, you ever done it? You ever done it? And then one day I stayed home from school and rented Exit to Eden with Rosie O'Donnell and Dan Aykroyd.
I remember, dude, it was the most confusing, horny time for puberty was for that movie to come out on VHS, and you're just like...
It's as if they hired a confused, horny teenager to make that movie.
Yes, because it's like, hey, there's going to be tons of stuff for puberty boys to just be like, I guess I got to start doing this right now. But also, that'll be in the background. The foreground will be filled with Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. Aren't they like undercover at like a sex resort or something?
Yeah.
Like a BDSM sex resort.
There's nothing like experiencing puberty in that time and being so horned up and trying to masturbate to a VHS video and like looking around Rosie O'Donnell in a leather fucking like sex outfit,
like
and you're like, just let's get past this part. Let's get past this part.
I remember the scene. I had it taped. I taped it off of HBO, and there was a part where like the lady who's running the place is swimming, and she gets out of the pool, and it's like a full frontal shot. And
dude, the day that I moved a TV and a VCR into my room, that's when things changed, and I would videotape. I remember there was one time PBS aired some British movie, and all I knew was that an actress from what is the show? ER. An actress from ER was naked in the movie, and so I taped it. I opened the TV guide. I looked up the time. I scheduled the recording, right? And then I taped it, and then I just sat there and fast forwarded like a 3-hour PBS movie just looking for the boobs. And then I found them, and I was like, "This is all I need. This is all I need. Here we are." You know what I mean? Like it was that period of time where I think you're just in I really firmly believe, and I'm worried to say this because maybe it reflects on me more than anything. You do just get to a phase in puberty where you are just everything you look at, you're like, is that sex? Is that fuck? Is that fuck? I want to look. Is that a boob? Is that a knee bent a certain way? Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? Like literally anything. I mean, it's going to sound like an old man, but like we grew up in a time pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
Or internet was like very rare. It
was nascent stages.
Yeah. And so like finding those things, oh my God, I'm going to sound like such an old man. We used to need to use our imaginations. We used to
literally did
do that. You had to look at a women's red book and find the right ad. A push-up bra ad could do the job.
I have a question about imagination jerking off. Have you ever used your imagination while you were jerking off in your fantasy, and then one of your buddies showed up and made like a cameo while you're jerking off?
No.
That's happened to me.
Wait, do you mean
happened to me?
Like
I think that's the ADD.
Like a cohesive part of the fantasy, or like you get distracted by another idea?
No. Like
what Frank is asking is this a story beat?
Yeah, because if I'm having a fantasy, I'm the director. You know what I mean? I'm in the director's chair. There's no other players on the stage unless I invite one in.
Yeah, and I think that's the ADD chiming in. You know, being a good friend in my fantasies.
What would they do?
They would just, hang out, join in, everyone, and then I'd have to send them away. Like if they would come in, I'd have to go away. You're not invited, and I would have to like change my brain back into my fantasy.
They would just generally compliment me.
I've never
pat me on the back, tell me I'm doing a great job.
Yeah.
Look at that dick. You're going to make your son very proud someday.
Yeah.
It is weird, though, during that time. And it is weird because growing up, like you were saying, we didn't have just access to porn all the time. But our brains were wired to, like, look for sex the way they're wired to look for food when you're hungry.
Oh,
like,
dude, we had a caveman filter over our eyes for the entirety of that period of time in puberty, where just everything, it's like Terminator vision when he was walking around looking for whatever at the beginning of Terminator, and then he finds the guy and you see the outline on the jacket and shoes and everything. Every woman you looked at, everything you looked at, you were just like D. Oh, okay, sex right there. I can do sex at that right there. You know what I mean? And that's what would happen.
Yeah, you're like a titty Terminator. You're like a titty Terminator.
And there was a period there where like it would be late at night, and there's no internet in my house, and it was like you were literally just at the whim of whatever you could find on cable, and just like furiously flipping through channels. You're like, I need one like good commercial right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what
you end up on QVC.
They had the jewelry ads, and they would show the ring right next to the titties.
Yes,
or the necklace with the titties. Yeah, I've jerked off to QVC. Telemundo has saved me tons of time.
Telemundo is a perfect choice.
I've seen nudity on there. when I was.
That's why kids today will never understand the appreciation that we had for a television channel called USA Network. USA Network never let me down. It never let me down.
I had a routine. 10 p.m. Monday Night Raw ended, and then at like 10:05, Silk Stockings would come on.
Silk Stockings.
And
oh my God!
Shuck corn.
Hell yeah! Silk Stockings. You had Silk Stockings. You had that whatever that weird bike beach cop show was. There was they were on bikes. I don't know. It was some dumb thing.
Are you talking about Baywatch?
No, not Baywatch. This was Baywatch on bikes, and they would do bike
I vaguely
crime.
maybe remember that.
Yeah, and then Baywatch,
Pacific
obviously.
Blue? Are you talking about
Pacific Blue? Is what? Yes,
Pacific Blue.
Pacific Blue balls. And and then there was Baywatch, and then you could always.
Go ahead, keep on.
I was gonna say you can always count at that time. You could always count on USA Network having like a Joe Bob Briggs old horror movie from VHS times.
I love Joe Bob
and there
Briggs.
was just tons of sexploitation and nudity in those movies, and you're like, okay, I can count on this. I think USA Network solely existed for pubescent boys.
It really did, and then FX took over that
for a little while.
A little while.
Yeah.
No, California Dreams was my show of choice. That was a good one.
Ooh, yeah. And then of course there was TRL. There was TRL.
MTV
early
was a good
days.
Go-to.
I would run home from school. The first month I learned how to self-release. I like that phrase. I like that phrase.
That sounds like you figured out how to get out of your car seat.
Yeah. In a way, it's sort of the same, isn't it? Because you're a baby leaving the safety of the baby harness, and you're becoming a man.
And you are strapped in by those puberty emotions,
right? And that guy that strapped me down. No,
that was right. You remember when coming home?
That puberty class teacher.
Yeah, that puberty class teacher that strapped me down and said, "Now you're Resuscita Annie." You guys had the same class, right?
Yeah.
Where oral exams were oral exams.
Yep.
Yeah.
He would check your body with his mouth.
He would check my teeth with his dick.
He was a really good dentist.
He kept calling it his oral D.
Yeah. So, do you remember that time period with TRL when Britney Spears was blowing up, but also I remember
it was blowing up at Britney Spears.
Janet Jackson came out with some album, and in all of her videos, she was half naked.
Oh yeah, no, that was the time. TRL was always it was the first month of self-exploration where I would race home to get home for TRL at whatever time that was. What was that, 3 or 4? Whatever it was. I would try and race home because I knew that was the era of Britney Spears dropping videos that were always super hot, Christina Aguilera doing something, or you'd get Moulin Rouge where you're like, I can work with this. You know what I mean? It was that era. Yeah.
Yeah. Spice Girls.
Oh, right? Spice Girls.
God,
Have you seen the Britney Spears Instagram?
I have. And listen, as a kid, I needed to see that.
You would have told me in 96 that in 20 years this lady's going to be on fucking Instagram naked. I would have said
she's naked on Instagram?
Well, you'd be like,
about, Frank.
You'd be like, what's Instagram?
Yeah,
that's true.
What's Instagram? Yeah. But yeah, she puts little hearts over her nipples and her cooter. And that's the dude. She's a great follow.
Why does she do that?
I don't know. I want to thank Britney Spears for doing everything that
maybe this is why nobody trusts her to control her own money.
Yeah. Well,
hey, you know what? Listen, more power to her. If she wants to do that, go for it. I know it's fine. You know what I mean? Live your life. Do what you're doing. Because I'll say this.
I'm not judging.
Listen, she puts that out there, but guess what? She's not monetizing it the way a Kim Kardashian will, where it's why don't you rest a Schweppes can on my ass cheek and we'll do. You know what I mean? And we'll do some sponsored posts with Schweppes. Yeah. You know,
I support Britney Spears. I support Britney.
You know, I just went to her Instagram. I see what you're saying, but have you noticed all of the pictures, especially the ones in her, what I'm assuming is her house, they're taken from the same angle, and she's not holding the camera. She's it looks like the camera's mounted on the top of a door frame.
Or she just has a really tall
tripod
friend or lover.
Well, the camera's
who holds
not moving.
the camera so it looks like she's a little.
Are you
kid.
trying to tell me you think Britney Spears is taking those fucking pictures without a ring light, Frank? And a tripod? You know that is like a professional.
Dude, if she is, she has
Instagram
it positioned
setup.
above her head, and she's looking up at it in a weird.
Have you, Frank? Go on
have
the
you ever
internet.
seen Have you ever seen somebody take a selfie and do they ever do it like down like that? No, they always do it up like that. So she's like, I'm going to do that with my body.
If you saw the pictures, they don't look normal like normal selfies.
Well, then you call Britney and you tell her that,
Frank.
Frank.
Upshot of Britney Spears. Nobody wants to see an upshot.
I don't know. Maybe it's different angles that it might be nice. She's pretty.
No, you're one angle, 45 degrees down. Just take the fucking shot. That's what it is now. It's 45
You know what, Frank?
down.
You know what, Frank? You and Perez Hilton can go fuck yourselves. Because you're the reason why Britney went crazy.
Yeah,
maybe.
Fuck you, Frank.
Free Britney, jail Frank.
Jail Frank, free Britney. That's what I.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
I'm not alone.
That's my second lock him up chance of the podcast.
It looks like the pictures.
It looks weird.
It looks weird.
A lot of fucking things look weird, Frank.
And I don't have to like them, and I get to complain, don't I?
I don't have to like them, and I get to put a comment on the bottom that says, I don't agree with your angles, Britney.
I'm going to go there, and I'm going to tag your real fucking Instagram and tell Britney Spears, Frank Zero doesn't like this.
Go ahead.
You're going to push her to suicide, Frank. Congratulations.
And then in the note, it's going to say, Frank fucking Gazero from the Wicked Funny podcast didn't like my angle. And then everybody's going to hate you, Frank. Everybody is going to hate you.
I'm open. I'm open to the controversy. Let's do this.
I'm open to the hatred. I want more people to hate you. I think this could do it. This could set us over the top.
And I am neutral.
Really, if you saw this, it's above. It's in a weird fucking place to just be in a house.
What? What does that mean? Like in a closet?
Look, no, we see selfies all the time, right? Like we're used to seeing them, and it is normal for someone to hold a camera like on an upward angle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it would look different if instead of holding the camera out like that, the camera was maybe a few feet away and like a foot or a foot and a half higher than you could hold it out.
But Frank, did you know that Britney Spears is only 3.5 feet tall?
I did not.
Yeah. She's very short.
This is the angle that Frank is.
That's not the angle. It's before those.
That's fine.
It's before those ones.
The fuck.
There's a bunch where it's like positioned in the same place. It's almost like there's a camera mounted, like in her house somewhere.
You know what, Frank? You're the reason why Pam and Tommy split up.
Like that angle, Frank.
No, not that angle.
The fuck. So it's different, is what you're saying.
There's a whole bunch that are the same. I just saw them.
I just showed you two.
I don't want to
and
get
you
into
said
it.
they were both fucking different.
You showed me 2 out of how many does she have here? Thousands.
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
Is that her? That song?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's one of the deep tracks.
Yeah, I don't know any
That's
of the
deep cut.
tracks.
That's almost at the end of TRL. You know what I mean? Or at least that it was.
When she...
You know what? That was the end of my I need to watch the TRLs, right?
Yeah, I think I was, I don't know, 15-ish, maybe 14, 15. When she performed on the Video Awards with the snake when she had that that Slave song come out.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and being like, well, I'm jerking off before this song is over. And I wasn't even planning on it.
Remember when Madonna kissed her at the end of the performance? And it was like a whole big thing. And I think it was funny because it was like Madonna being like, I'm going to kiss this other sex object so I can hold on to being a sex object. And then she turned into Skeletor.
She did. That was about the time Diana Ross grabbed Little Kim's titty.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, she bumped it. She went...
Oh, and you know what? Since we're talking about this, I got to say, with Janet Jackson, do you know what the most unsexy thing that happened was? The Super Bowl nipple.
Not good at all, was it?
It was the least sexual thing. It was just like, oh, okay. And it wasn't even fun or hot or sexy or anything like that. It was just like, oh, there's a tit.
Yeah, but it wasn't even a tit because she had one of those things on. You know those like nipple decorations?
Nipple decoration. It was a nipple decoration.
It was like a nipple cuff or whatever.
It was a nipple cuff.
Yeah.
I like decoration.
It was a nipple gibbet.
Aggressive. A nipple gibbet.
It was a nipple gibbet.
Yeah.
Or a tassel.
It wasn't. No,
It wasn't
like
a tassel.
metal.
It was like a piercing that was like yeah, and it was like a
it was
sun or
almost
something.
like picture a pasty, but it looked kind of like jewelry, like with some kind of metal. But I think there was a hole in the middle of it.
Yeah,
A
but it was
titty
so
tip.
not sexual. It was so
No,
not
it
sexual, and
wasn't.
everybody freaked out. And I was like, "This is nothing. That has as much sex as like an elbow right now."
It
You know,
was
Music
a
videos
titty
were
tip.
way more risque, like way more.
Absolutely.
Trey risque.
You gotta
Trey.
look at and not for nothing. We had a song, man, way before that. The thong song, the Cisco thong song.
Thong to
There's a
thong thong
Cisco-
thong.
Thong to thong 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 came out before that, and
Sure.
nobody cared about the thong to thong thong thong.
No.
I mean, I guess if you're like it happened for a second. I think we need to look at long-term sexual things if it's going to be an issue.
What's going to be an issue?
Like the videos are more sexual than that titty. So if you're against that titty, you got to fight the videos too. That's
Well, I'm sure they were fighting the videos. I'm
they
sure
had
they
to
were
have
fighting
fought the fucking videos. Janet Jackson, the poor thing.
And it is funny because
it's the worst thing to ever happen to a Jackson.
It clearly is.
I think so. I think so. I think so.
Yeah. It is funny because the Super Bowl.
No, the worst thing to happen to a Jackson was when Bo Jackson got hurt in that fucking game and couldn't play anymore. That was the worst thing to happen to a Jackson. Fucking Bo Jackson is the greatest fucking Hall of Famer that will never be.
We're not going to talk about how Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire at a Pepsi commercial. Like,
no,
that was pretty rough.
That's
I'm
nothing.
sure that was a bit rough for him.
That's rough, right? That's like he got Richard Pryored. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did. He got priored. He got pride.
It was a big trend for black people at the time. You know, the 80s, 90s, a lot of settings.
Speaking of Richard Pryor, though, do you know what's so fucking weird? There was a story years ago, and I hope I get the people right. Let me Google it really quickly, because I want to make sure that I don't slander anyone, right?
We don't want to slander Richard Pryor's people.
Yes. This came out around the time of Richard Pryor's. Was it around when he died? I think it might have been. But it was revealed that him and the other person kind of acknowledged this, that at some point Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor fucked.
What?
You guys look at me like I'm crazy. This news thing came out. And then everybody was like, wow, that's weird. And it went away the next day. And I'm like, wait, we're not going to talk about this? Like, I have no problem with whoever fucking whoever, but that's wild news to hear. That's wild news to hear. Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor.
Advocate reported on it too, yeah.
That's
this
fucking
is what I'm saying.
Crazy. I can't picture Richard Pryor fucking The Godfather. I can't do that. But
I can picture the toy fucking The Godfather. Absolutely. I hope Gene Wilder was there. I hope Gene Wilder was there.
Who's going to pull the string?
I like Gene Wilder being like, I'll work the shaft. You cradle the balls.
But he's still dressed like Willy Wonka.
No. It's just they're doing it. It's like a deleted scene from Hear No Evil, See No Evil, or whatever that movie was called. Where Richard Pryor's blind and Gene Wilder's deaf. Oh man, and they're just fucking. And Marlon Brando's just like, do whatever you want. Just somebody do something.
Just do it. Yeah. Could somebody come and fuck me? And then Richard.
There you go. You got a solid.
Am I in the right hole? Am I in the right hole?
That's a good Brando. You got a really good one.
Oh, thank you very much.
So apparently, Quincy Jones.
Yes, that's what it was. Quincy admitted
Pryor's wife confirmed it.
That's what I'm saying.
He was openly bisexual. Well,
Quincy Jones brought it up. She confirmed it, and no one talked about it afterwards. They're just like, "Oh, okay."
Weird thing for Quincy Jones to lie about, unless he's losing his mind. You know,
right?
Yeah,
it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
I've heard this stuff with Paul Mooney. There's like rumors about weirdness with him and Paul Mooney, right? And
yeah, a little bit,
sons or something.
But this is the confirmed thing, and it's insane to me. Not for like a "ooh, they're gay" kind of way, but just like the salaciousness of these two hugely known people. Like, oh yeah, by the way, we fucked. Big deal. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy to me. It's so crazy. That's like if Chappelle That's like if Chappelle fucked Tom
Hanks.
Hanks.
Or Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. It would be like Chappelle and Tom Hanks or Daniel Day-Lewis. Like one of the biggest actors ever. To ever live. Yeah.
I love that. John Mulaney's like, I fucked Tom Hanks. What are you going to do?
You know.
So I had sex with Tom Hanks, and that was
So
fun.
I met Tom Hanks. And yeah, things got a little crazy.
You can say things got big between us. In us. Things got big in us.
I love that idea. But yeah, nobody talked about it. It just went right away.
Yeah, that's what happens now. That's what happens now. The biggest thing going on right now is that fucking Johnny Depp Amber Heard me case.
Can I be honest with you?
I'm not following it.
Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean who cares in the sense of the actions taken and consequences and stuff like that. I care that somebody, I'm not sure who, has been hurt in this situation, but I think watching this, the way people are talking about it, because it's low stakes and it's celebrity stuff, it sucks because the conversation is like it's the OJ trial, but it's not.
Yeah.
And everybody's being like an Instagram detective, and they're like, well, if you look at this picture and you cut it down to this and the way she looked that way, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Who are you? You're fucking nobody.
It's become like the equivalent of a trash reality.
Well, you know what
and that sucks.
I think it's because it's a thing that's on the news that you like. It's either you're on Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, and both sides are train wrecks, and it's not political. It's not divided. Right. It's, if anything, this Johnny Depp trial is bringing people together.
Well, but it's the fact that people are like breaking things down as if they're part of the prosecution or defense. And it's like, you can like you talk about it, have your opinion, whatever. But once you start playing, you know, the attorney general or something, you know what I mean? Once you start playing
based on YouTube clips,
it's crazy. And it's also weird because it's like, you know, I don't know who's telling the truth and how much of the truth they're telling. That's not for me to know. I'm not a juror. I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. Right? I don't know. It is weird that immediately it was just like Amber Heard is full of shit and a liar. And again, I don't know because I haven't been following along. Maybe she is. I have no idea. But it's weird to get to that place right away when we've also been hearing for many years now a point that I do agree with is like, you know, believe women, right? And then it's like, hey, Johnny Depp did these things to me. And people are like, fuck you. Pirates of the Caribbean was great. And I'm like, what is happening? What is happening here?
It was great. It was great.
Listen.
Yeah. Part of it
I don't know.
There is, I haven't like followed it really, but I think if it was Tom Hanks and his wife, even if they were really dysfunctional, it would be a very boring trial. Whereas this
I think that would be more interesting because it's Tom Hanks. Johnny Depp, I mean, who cared about Johnny Depp before this?
But there'd be fewer like theatrics. There'd be fewer things that you could like make a YouTube clip about and be like, how funny is this? You know?
I don't know. As soon as Chet Hanks showed up on the stand, yikes.
I know. That guy's a ball breaker.
Your Honor, I would like to wrap my testimony. Is that okay? And he's like, and the judge is like, please don't. And then he starts going, and they're like, no, please don't. If you do it, I will hold you in contempt. Okay, fine, I won't do it. I'm not going to rap.
Can you imagine
my name is Chet Hanks, and I'm here to say I'm giving my testimony in a truthful way. And they're like, no, you're in contempt. You're out.
Put Wilson on the fucking stand, just not asking the volleyball question.
Get his buddy from Bosom Buddies. Get his co-star from Bosom Buddies.
Who was that? Who the fuck was that?
I can't remember his name, but I always feel like he's just like the knockoff of Peter
Solari.
Peter Solari. Yeah, I have still like the COVID fogginess of and names I can never fucking remember for the last like week or two. I just can't remember names, but the actor who stopped acting and he was in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Ghostbusters. What is his name again? Rick Moranis. I always thought Peter Scolari was like a dollar store version of Rick Moranis. like if you like it's the knockoff. It's the bootleg Rick Moranis.
He's Rick Moranis from Wish.
Yeah, can we get Rick Moranis? No. All right, call Peter Scolari, I guess.
And you know what's really funny? Peter. He was in the series Honey, I Shrunk the Kids from 97 to 2000.
There you go. He literally is.
He literally was the bootleg Rick Moranis.
Yeah. I love it.
Did you see the video of Moranis getting punched from a few years ago?
I was just going to say, yeah, that happened. He got hit walking down the street in New York.
A guy just popped him, walked by and punched him.
And you know what? It was Peter Scolari that punched him.
Really?
Motherfucker.
Yeah, it was Peter Scolari. Man. He finally had enough.
Yeah. I'm tired of being the number 2 Rick Moranis, and I'm not him at all.
Yeah, and he's so mad, and he hates Tom Hanks now. He's like, we were together in bosom buddies. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Tom Hanks becomes America's Tom Hanks. Nobody ever says America's Peter Scolari, do they?
He had a pact that whoever was successful would bring the other one with them.
Yeah. Did he do it? No. We were supposed to do the Perfect Strangers blood oath.
I only did the bosom because he was my buddy, and I put him on the project.
Is it true that Rick Moranis was originally cast? Yes, of course. But he couldn't do it.
Alan, I should have been Buzz Lightyear. I should have been Buzz Lightyear. He should have brought the team back.
You could have at least let me be the fucking potato head.
Yeah, fuck Don Rickles.
Fuck him in his grave. I don't care. Whoa, Peter, Peter.
Whoa, Peter. Calm down. Sorry. Well, anyway, let's cut this out. Ray, did you want to come do our Patreon?
Yeah, I can do your Patreon. I can't do it right now.
Oh wait. Oh yeah. Wait. I forgot that we were like recording. For a second, I literally forgot that we were
doesn't
recording.
It feel like this conversation is like the lead up to a thing?
Yeah, it felt like this was the lead up. Yeah, and I'm like, all right, let's go do that podcast.
We've done like an hour of lead up, but it's all fun. I've enjoyed talking about this.
This has been a fun lead up. This has been a fun lead up.
I have a great idea for you, Brian.
Yes, what is it?
When your son asks these questions, you play him this episode.
Well, Frank.
Just hit play and walk away. Just hit play and walk away.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. This is what we're doing. I had Frank look up puberty questions.
Okay.
And that way I could better prepare myself for puberty. So that is going to be the Patreon. That's going to be our Patreon this week. Preparing for puberty.
Fun. I like that.
Puberty. It's going to be
pretty sweet.
Preparing for puberty. So we're going to do that. Ray, can you please tell the people where to find you?
Yeah, if I'm ever lost in the woods, I want you to look around. No. I like how people where people can find you does sound like it's a kidnapping thing, right?
Where can people find you, Ray?
You can find me on the internets at rayharringtoncomedy.com. You can find me on the social media things. Just put my name in, Ray Harrington, and it'll come up. I don't need to give you the specific @. And then, of course, you can listen to Ray Harrington Must Content. That's the new podcast that I have. Brian's been on quite a few times. You were on for our Easter episode where we learned a lot about how horny young men dealt with tradition back in the day in Eastern Europe.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. And Frank is going to be on the podcast at some point once he gets up enough money to pay to be on it. But
okay.
We're going to start a GoFundMe for Frank so that he can get on Ray's podcast.
I'll work on that.
And do a GoFundMe, not a Kickstarter, because that way when he doesn't hit the goal, he can still get the money.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good job.
Good idea. I like all of this.
Good looks on that. Good looks.
I'm on board.
Yeah, and Frank, we'll work on your Shark Tank pitch for being the the puberty guy.
I don't want to be the guy. I'm just saying.
Then why did you make that T-shirt?
But I thought it would be a funny joke.
Yeah.
And now everybody thinks I want to be the puberty guy.
It says, got questions, call the puberty guy. And it's thumbs pointing at him with no phone number.
Puberty guy, Frank Azero.
Who has 2 thumbs and answer to puberty questions? This guy.
Have you been through the early change? It's like menopause in reverse.
Are you only hanging out in one section of the pool? Call Frank, the puberty guy.
Yeah, and then there's a little asterisk at the bottom and it says boys only.
Well, I don't understand the other part of. I don't get that other complicated.
I still don't know. I don't get it. I don't know. I think it has something to do with a uterine lining. I don't know what that is. Before we go, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Brian, is your son going to come home? Because I think the weirdest thing, we didn't talk about our sex ed experience, right?
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I did in sex ed is they broke it up boys and girls, and the boys had to make like a model of women's reproductive organs.
What?
And it was
it out of Play-Doh? What did
no, it was made out of like they
Wait,
had
did
a
the
little
girls make one of a guy?
probably.
Of a dick?
We had like a little sandwich bag, like a plastic sandwich baggie. That was like the uterus. And then we had to put inside, we built out of straws and like pipe cleaners, like the fallopian tubes and shit.
We did do that.
Yeah.
We did do that.
did?
Yeah. And guess what? That taught me nothing. Like I get what the organs are on the inside, but what sex ed needs to teach you is like other stuff. So when boys grow up, they aren't like, ew, a period. You know what I mean? Like get kids like understanding that stuff. Because instead I walked out of sex ed going, well, I know how to make a uterus out of a plastic bag, but is it weird that I'm so pent up and horny that I'm kind of thinking about fucking it? You know?
Yeah, that's why it's a bag, so it can hold your cum when you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Loads all up in it.
Jesus Christ!
I got kicked out of my sex ed class in high school. We had a teacher. We called her Skeletor because she looked like Skeletor.
Madonna.
Yeah, and she walked in the class, and this is back. We had overhead projectors.
Yeah.
The overhead was off.
She put her pussy right on the projector.
All right, kids.
Put a snail trail right on the fucking thing. No, she puts a piece of paper on it. She goes and puts her bag down on her desk. She comes back, turns on the pulls the thing down, turns on the projector, and it is a fucking 4-foot dick projected onto the wall. It was, and my ADHD kicked in, and I had one of those outburst reactionary things, and I said, "That's the biggest dick I've ever seen." And the crowd went fucking wild.
Yeah.
She kicked me out of the class. She goes, "Get to Knoll's office." So I had to go see Mr. Knoll, the VP, and it's at the point I get kicked out of class all the time. I just walk in, sit on his chair till he's done with the phone call. Yeah. He says, "What did you do now?" And I said, "You got to hear me out on this." I started out like that. I go, "You got to hear me out." I go, "I yelled something very inappropriate. However, Dr. Mulligan put an inappropriate projection on the wall and didn't give us any warning as to what it was. And then it was you got to come see this thing. Right? You gotta
come see
That's
it.
what I want people to say about my penis when they see it. You gotta come see this thing.
I go, "You gotta come see this thing." I go, I yelled it out. I go, "But I wasn't ready." I look, and he literally walked into the class. He looked in. He goes, "Wow." He goes, "She just turned it on, and that was the thing." And I go, "Yeah." I go, and I said, "That's the biggest dick I've ever seen." He goes, "It's the biggest one I've ever seen." He goes, "You're just gonna have to sit in in-house suspension till the end of the period. How's that?" And that was fine. So I just had to sit in the in-house suspension room for getting kicked out of health class for saying that the biggest dick I saw was the biggest dick I've ever seen. I should have said it looked like Bob's. It looked like Bob's dick. You know?
When I was in 6th or 7th grade, I had a science teacher who, for some reason, we were talking about anatomy or something, and he had an X-ray of somebody, not himself, I don't think, and he put it like on a window, where there's light coming through, and he was like pointing at different parts, but the X-ray was from like the chest to like the mid-thigh. So you could see the guy's dick in the X-ray.
And did he even say anything?
He covered it, and then like toward the end, he didn't cover it, and he goes, "Yeah, there's a little devil dog over there. Don't worry about it."
Little
devil dog.
He called it a devil dog.
That's a predator phrase for sure.
You should have said, "Is it because you like to eat them?"
Yeah.
He did end up getting arrested, that guy, for, I think, soliciting a male prostitute or something.
Called it.
Yeah.
Listen, men having sex with each other isn't illegal. In the eyes of I was just gonna say in the eyes of God. God's like, listen, just have fun, but don't pay. No money should ever be exchanged.
No money should be exchanged unless it's my son.
That's what the real story is about Jesus flipping the tables in the temple. He's like, no money in the temple. And the temple, what we're talking about now, is your erogenous zones. There should be no money involved with your erogenous zones because fucking is love, and love should be free. I think I just started a cult.
I think you may have.
That was the word of God by Ray Harrington.
Listen, my 8-year-old son just got home, and I'm really worried about him hearing some of the sentences, phrases, words, and ideas that I am now speaking.
Oh.
So I either need to start whispering or I need to leave.
Well, we're ready to leave.
Okay. All right.
And
which is weird because your son going through puberty right now is ready to come. See, I had to whisper it. And it felt so bad to say that.
I know,
really bad.
It doesn't
I
feel
would like
good
to take
say
that
things
back.
like that.
That's how
I would
Frankie
like to go ahead and take that back.
Sound. That's how Frankie the puberty guy sounds. He goes,
"Oh yeah, hey, I called that number.
You're gonna come."
I called that number for the puberty guy, and when he answered, I just heard." Can I help you? What's your puberty emergency?
There you go. It's a fine idea.
Please edit out the thing I said about your son.
Oh, you mean about how he's having an orgasm?
Don't use the technical term. That's gross. That's just gross, Frank. I said street slang. That's fun. Yeah. Street slang's okay, right? Like you could say, hey, that kindergarten kid just jizzed. That's fun. That's a fun phrase. It got too quiet. Nobody's with me? All right, I got
it was. Well, I don't know what to say that's going to make you trigger dirty things. And I want to protect your son's ears.
I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. And tell your son I said hello.
Okay. And tell your son I said hello. Don't tell him about the other thing I said.
I will. I will tell my son.
I so regret that.
Said hello. Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you two are the two that have sworn in front of my son the most in his whole life.
That's fair.
That's good. But thank you, Ray, for being here. Frank's obligated, but thank you, Ray, for being here.
Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
And thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell your friends to listen. Just message them the link. And shout out to Zane, who is our unofficial podcast promoter. He listens to all the episodes, right? This guy promotes way more than Frank and me do, and I give the guy shout out.
I have a Zane as well. It might be the same Zane.
Might be the same Zane. We'll compare Zanes. We'll see whose is bigger.
That's in the class, right?
That's in class. That's
level. Well, thank you, Zane. And if you're the same Zane, thank you again. And if you're a different Zane, thank you as well.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.